Welcome back. I'm Tedward and welcome to the 1995 Toyota Celica GT-Four. This is an ST205. It is right-hand drive because this was imported from Japan. But more importantly, this is a homologation rally car because Toyota was pretty successful in WRC back in the 90s, and this was produced from 94 to 99. It has a 3S GTE inline four-cylinder turbo, all-wheel drive, real full-time all-wheel drive that makes 252 horsepower and close to the same amount of torque. So this is a proper little monster that is ready to go out and tackle some dirt roads. But they did need to sell 2,500 in order to remain competitive and qualify to race in Group A. So first things first, if you were a 90s kid, this car looks somewhat familiar for one of two reasons. One, because this chassis did get sold in the US, or at least something similar to this. And two, you played Gran Turismo. But what we did not get was the proper GT-Four. And when we think of Celicas in the US, we typically think of sort of hairdressers' cars. They're not necessarily fast. They're sporty, they look cool, but it's essentially like a Mazda MX-6 or something, right? It's nothing outrageous. This car, however, would give an E36 M3 a serious run for its money. It's quick. All right, cosmetically, this car is insane because you have this crazy hood with venting for heat on both sides, and then what appears to be some sort of ram air
for the timing belt, and it even has a cooling duct for the alternator.
So first, let's check under the hood. And the first thing you noticed in this car, obviously right-hand drive, 5-speed manual, but the owner has just put on this beautiful rewrapped leather steering wheel. So let's pop the hood. Very standard Toyota stuff. And here she is. What's especially cool about this engine is this top-mounted water-cooled intercooler. So it means business. It wants to rip for hours and hours and hours, which is great. In 1994, this car was actually even more special. Not this car, unfortunately, but in 1994, you get a WRC edition of the car, which came with the plumbing for anti-lag, water injection, all from the factory. So you'd buy your car, bring it home, hook it all up, and you essentially had a WRC car that you bought from the dealer, which is crazy. Now, the only thing under here that I believe has been altered is this intake, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, this thing is really wild, and we've got this beautiful Mishimoto radiator up front to help keep us cool. Gluing us to the road is a 225 section tire on a 16-inch wheel. All around, it's a square setup, no rear steering on the ST205, but we do get pretty cool monoblock brakes, front and rear, which is like kind of a big deal for a Toyota in 1995. It's a large car. There's plenty of room in the back seats, and we'll take a look at the trunk because, you know, there's reasonable storage space back here. So this is very usable as your daily driver, and you can pop those rear seats down and you've got all this space back here. Now, there's some interior trim pieces missing, and the owner is adamant about making this thing pure and stock and getting that all together, which I'm impressed with. But honestly, I'm just impressed with how mechanically sound this is and how rust-free it is. So this is a great place to start if you're looking to make the perfect GT-Four. And he's got little hidden stickers all over the car. I think that's the appropriate way to set up your JDM car. Now, this one does have an aftermarket exhaust. It's a bit droney, but we'll forgive it, and especially on a review where we're going to be driving this on American roads. What more do you want? You got to have some loud to it. So let's jump in, take it for a drive, and see how it holds up in 2022. To start the Celica, we've got our key, which looks so much like my sister's Camry key from 1995. It's the same thing. And the same ignition over here on the right. Dashboard, gorgeous tachometer with our speedo in kilometers per hour, a boost gauge, a water temp gauge, and a fuel gauge. Everything is angled toward the driver, letting us know that this is designed to be driven. It's meant to scare your passengers for sure. Clutch in, neutral. But first, you got to hear the noises it makes when the door is open and the key is in. Kind of unique. This thing jumps right to life, and I love these kind of imports because you know they're just going to work immediately. So let's clutch in, get it in first gear, and take it for a drive. Please forgive me because I am not often driving right-hand drive manual vehicles. It's a little bit of pressure on me today. This car has a very grippy clutch. The owner is not sure if it's stock or not. If this is a stock clutch, that's beefy stuff. That's like Audi RS beefy stuff. And the gear ratios are incredibly short. You can hear that blow-off noise everywhere. It's just fantastic. You can feel that all-wheel drive system. It was shuddering a little bit as it's putting power down. I mean, this is really incredible. And don't worry, they're with me, so I'm not just being a jerk to some strangers on the road. Oh, goodness, I love this car. Now, we all know and love the Mark IV Supra, and typically that's what we think about when we think about Toyota performance, but we cannot forget about this, because this is genuine racing enjoyment, and it's derived from a real racing series. The way the turbo kicks in is very old school. It's like nothing, 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 and then we're in, and the noises we're getting out of this are exactly like the video games I used to play when I was a kid. And it gives you the idea that in the 90s, cars had a lot more character, and I feel like there was a lot more differences between them when it came to like philosophy. I mean, you can tell that in the Germans for sure, because, you know, an Audi RS was very different than a BMW M car. And yet, we lump them sort of into the same category. And over time, they started to kind of homogenize. And even though the Audis were all-wheel drive and the Beamers were were rear-wheel drive, they did start to fill the same premise, and we started testing them in the same ways. And now look, now we have all-wheel drive M cars. So I gotta say, like, I do genuinely prefer driving some of these older, like, 90s things, because you can find that they offer a lot more in a unique driving experience. What I'm noticing is just how in tune this chassis is. And you can feel that all-wheel drive system just when you do this. You can feel it like applying torque to certain wheels, and there's almost like there's like a drag happening. It's pretty wild. And I remember feeling the same thing in the GTR as well. Now, as far as steering feel is concerned, it's very direct. It's a tight ratio. It feels like it came right out of the rally car, which I think it might have. And these brakes are just incredible. Like, this car holds up. This is a handling car for 2022, despite being made in the early 90s. It weighs 3,000 pounds, which for the time actually seems a little heavy. Now it feels like a lightweight in some regard, but honestly, I think the weight just makes it feel kind of sturdy. I feel like I'm in something substantial. I don't feel like I'm in a tin can. I have to say, I have major respect for the owner of this car, because it takes like an actual labor of love to take care of and steward something like this. But it doesn't take much to fall in love with it, I'll tell you that much. I just love the way that turbo builds a little boost. You can hear it all. Oh, what a symphony. And this thing has torque. It really moves. I'm genuinely impressed with this. And this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of people who are like, no, I'll only do V8s or V6s or whatever. Like, do not sleep on a rally homologation 4-cylinder. This is crazy. Oh, I'm just so impressed with this car. The way this puts down power out of a corner, it's just something incredible. Wow, 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 wow. There's no surprises about why this did well in rallies. Look at this climb. I know it's in kilometers per hour, but it looks so cool. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Slowly but surely, I am bonding with this car. I've been watching a lot of Initial D on Hulu, and I gotta say, driving cars like this make me feel really happy because these are like Initial D cars. This is the car that would have been doing the Toge in a straight up race in that show. And it's really fun to get to experience what the all-wheel drive systems were like at the time that that show was being written. Because I gotta say, like, everything's all-wheel drive today, and you know, everything has a turbo all-wheel drive system, and you know, this just feels like, if I felt this, if I was of age in 1994, this would have blown my brains apart. So this is my plea. Please, please, please keep these JDM cars alive, especially the homologation cars. No matter what it takes, spend the stupid money trying to get this thing to be a roadworthy machine. Don't worry about the future of internal combustion just yet. Don't worry about electrification. Don't worry about anything. Just import these, make them run, and drive the heck out of them, because this is genuine entertainment. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you to the owner of this vehicle for trusting me behind the wheel of his imported baby. Well, I think I need to go watch some rally footage of an ST205 so I can get the full experience from an audience standpoint. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you to the guy who reached out and offered a drive in his baby. This is a really special machine, and it's opened my eyes quite a bit because for the most part, most of the cars that I'm driving that are like this typically are Nissans, you know, a GTST or a GTR, an R32, R33. So to be able to drive a Toyota that actually won some awards in WRC is really special, and we love homologation cars. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.